Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're tuning in from, everybody. It's Rod with Power Group. Welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth. It's Tuesday, August 16th. Hope you're well today. Going to get started with the live stream here in about 30 seconds. We'll give it another half a minute or so for people to join us. If you could smash the like before we get started, I would appreciate it. Help support me in the channel. Doesn't cost you anything. If you're new, you can subscribe and tick the bell to be notified when I post videos or when I go live. Just sit tight and let us know where you're tuning in from. All right, we're going to get started here in about 15 seconds. I see we have quite a few people joining the live stream. Welcome, welcome, welcome back in The Pursuit of Wealth. If you could let us know where you're tuning in from, we're going to get started here momentarily. Danny says Massachusetts. Nice. Cool. Welcome from Massachusetts. I'm going to get started with today's live stream. Pretty excited about this one today. We had a new interview with HEXO's CEO Charlie Bowman. And this was the first time that he publicly came out and did an interview. A little jealous, not going to lie. I was hoping Pow would be the first to be able to interview him. And he didn't really get asked any tough questions. There was a ton of questions that I still had after this interview that I would have asked for sure. But it is what it is. I actually did send an email as well to HEXO Investor Relations. So going to try to get an interview. I almost had one, and then Jennifer Smith, she was actually let go because they were downsizing and doing some restructuring of the business. She said that she was close to getting me an interview, and then, like I said, she departed the company. So I sent another email. I'm working through the chain of command, obviously, trying to get that scheduled. So I'll keep everybody posted on that, but really looking forward to that. Before we get started, like I said, if you could smash the like, help support me in the channel, and pleases the YouTube algorithm, and let us know where you're tuning in from. But very excited. Also, just as a quick heads up, I'm going to be interviewing Nicholas Sosiak, the CFO of Canara Biotech, today after market close at 4:30 Eastern time, so half an hour after the market closes. And I'm also going to be interviewing Morgan Fox, political director at Normal, on Tuesday, August 23rd at the same time, 4:30 Eastern, just after market close. And if you don't know what Normal is, you can check them out, but essentially they are a lobbying organization, a nonprofit, and they are the voice of responsible MJ consumers, and they lobby the government. He's he's one of the individuals that actually lobby, and he works out of Washington, D.C. So that was going to be really interesting. Going to be talking about a variety of different topics, including U.S. legalization, things like that. But in this video, I'm going to go over this Investing News Network interview with CEO Charlie Bowman, HEXO's new CEO, and going to go through this. I've got it on 1.75x speed, so it's going to be a little bit faster. I want to go through this and I'll pause it. I'll give my thoughts and opinions, and let me know in the comments if you've seen this. What was your favorite part, your least favorite part, and we'll go over the questions and answers here at the end. But going to run through this, and like I said, I'll pause it and I'll give my thoughts and opinions on this. But overall, it was very positive. I like the fact that he said that he was working on getting share price up to around 40-50 cents. I assume he means USD, and they have a lot of new brands and things like that in the works. So without further ado, let's get things kicked off.
Hi there, I'm Brian McGovern, Senior Editor with the Investing News Network, and today I'm being joined by Charlie Bowman, CEO of the Canadian cannabis producer HEXO. Charlie, thank you so much for making the time for us.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Awesome. Well, why don't we dive in? The Canadian cannabis market is a very vast space with a lot of trends, a lot of takeaways, a lot of things that happened so far in 2022. You stepped into the role of CEO recently. Maybe tell me a little bit about you personally, how that process has been, the changes at the company, and the current situation of the market.
No, I think thanks. I did. In April, I stepped into the role of the CEO. I was running HEXO USA and helped the team when they went through some restructuring. As most know, HEXO had acquired a number of companies in 2021 at the tail end of the year. And it was a combination of getting the company aligned to the integration, resetting to the market because the market changes. This is a dynamic market. Your hand has to be on the wheel at all times. And then it was a matter of just getting those priorities in line. So we reset a number of areas basically to just really focus in on the group. We had a large debt that we needed to reset ourselves, which we've done. In addition to that, it allowed us to align to success. There was a number of areas around how many people, any cost synergies you come out after that many acquisitions, some of your core priorities, what you're going to focus on, what you're not going to focus on, and then really looking at that end consumer of how can HEXO be successful to become that preferred cannabis supplier. And so we
One thing I'll note here is notice that there's only the Redecan logo in the background. There's not even a HEXO logo. That's one thing that I noticed, found that peculiar. And yes, it is sped up. I'm trying not to go, I want to make this video as short as possible, and I've sped it up. I mentioned it's 1.75x speed, and I want to get speeded up so that I can give my thoughts and opinions. So we're going to continue it on, but I did notice that there was no HEXO logo in the background. Found that interesting.
We reset our mix so that we would drive profitability. And I think that's probably the biggest area that you're going to see in any of the Canadian cannabis industries. It's around, a lot of people assumed the market would be a lot bigger than it actually was, so they had to reset. In the midst of resetting that, you also have to realign your spend as well as your profit generators so that you're focusing on those areas that actually generate your profit. And so for us, that's been a big part of the last couple months. I'm very pleased with the progress we've made. The team has responded fantastic, but the market has responded. Because as I said earlier, the cannabis industry is a unique one in that what was selling 2 years ago doesn't sell at all today. Consumers look for new products. Consumers look for experiences, whether it's pain management, relaxation, and it's up to the suppliers to dial those in and then leverage this wonderful cannabis plant, which has a lot of capabilities into it, so that we actually tailor it to that customer experience. And I see that being more of what's going to happen in the future than maybe what we've seen in the first couple of years of just this explosion of this fantastic industry.
I see. I hear you. Speaking on the future, this year has been a really difficult one for the stock market when it comes to Canadian cannabis companies. We've had the chance to speak with quite a few selection of financial advisors, other experts following the market, who have a very down sentiment on this space. I'm wondering, from your perspective, in your conversations with potential investors, current investors, how do you paint the picture of the outlook or the upside, or how do you see, that turnaround really happening?
No, we're not immune to that. We've seen the decline, and in some cases, the way the company had structured a debt to take on those acquisitions was driving that stock price down. For us, that was the very first thing that we had to address, is to reset the debt. And that's what we did just recently.
And personally, I think it was a type of defense strategy. They issued a type of poison pill. I think that's what the whole idea with the debt was leading into the bear market. Let me know in the comments if you agree with me. I can see he really liked the new CEO. He says cannabinoid weird. Yeah, cannaboid, I think he says it later on. But yeah, it's cannabinoid. But yeah, he does say it a bit strange. Speaks volumes that they decided to use a Redecan backdrop instead of a HEXO logo. Yeah, exactly. And it just goes to show you that this was all probably part of the plan, right? Redecan was going to come in and was going to eventually take over. Just go look at the HEXO board of directors and go look at the management and the staff, right? You can see that they're all even Redecan is now on the board as well. So yeah, good point.
And then to your other side of this is about where we're at. If you take a look at HEXO stock, it's extremely low. It's a penny stock at the moment. And if you take a look at, what would make an investor be excited about investing in this, or why would you choose to put, $2, $3, $4, $5, $6, $10,000 into HEXO versus someone else? One of the things that when I took over, the very first thing I did was to clean up the balance sheet, to get rid of the impairments, to get the thing realigned. Assets that weren't going to be profitable.
And just touching on that, I mean, when you buy a company like Redecan for almost $1 billion and you raise $400 million in cash and pay the rest in stock, you're going to have some impairments, right? There was some facilities that they had some overlap; they didn't need those. That obviously hurt with regards to impairments, and just overall, all of these synergies and getting everything in line and transitioned is a challenging task. And not only did they acquire Redecan, it was Zenabis and 48 North as well, right?
Or assets that were legacy that were on the balance sheets, we moved them off very aggressively. And the goal was, let's take these movements very quickly, clean the balance sheet up, because our predictions was the country was going to go into some form of recession. When recession happens, people tighten their income. At that point, cash becomes king. So you have to basically be able to stretch your cash for as long as possible. Combined with the fact that you have to have the brands that you have in the market to be profitable, so that those products that you're generating revenue from are also generating positive cash flow across the board. And so that was the first major two steps that we went through. In some cases, I think because of the magnitude of that debt that was brought on, we had to do it much more aggressively than what you would see in, let's say, traditional businesses. But it's allowed us to be reset. And as we start to come out in Q4 and then ultimately in Q1, you're starting to already see, especially when we do our pro forma that'll come out when we do our earnings in September, you'll start to see more and more of how our business has turned the corner. Now, the key here, as you said, is why would an investor put your money into?
So the business has turned the corner, right? And that's what I've been saying for the last few quarters. It's going to take a few quarters for us to see all of the downsizing, the closure of different facilities. They closed they're getting rid of Malta facilities through the creditor protection filing with Zenabis, and they're going to offload that. They closed a bunch of other facilities as well, moving it over to Redecan, the Belleville facility, and laid a bunch of people off, right? Almost, I think it was about 500 people, 450 to 500 people total. And it's going to take a while before that's reflected in the financials. So we should see a huge improvement with regards to SG&A, in my opinion, over the next quarter, 1 to 2 quarters. But like you said, the company has turned a corner.
You're at the dip and at the trough, and now you're going to go up. It's around how are you controlling your spending? Are you driving your top line revenue into the core market? And for us, that's the Canadian retail market and medical market. That's our core markets we focus in on. And then it's around what are you doing in that product mix that's going to make you consumers want more? How are you driving up that consumer experience with your THC, your terpenes, your flavonoids, your minor cannabinoids? What product form are you bringing it to? We have a uniqueness in that we have a straight edge, which is one of the best pre-rolls. It's consumer friendly. It's very
And something to keep in mind is that Quebec doesn't even allow these straight edge pre-rolls yet, the Readies, because they resemble too much like cigarettes. So that's not, we're not even in Quebec yet, Canada's second largest province. So if that happens, watch out, right? That's a huge untapped market that they'll easily skyrocket to number one position in my opinion.
Discreet. It is one of the most repeat sales to all of our retail players. They talk about how fast consumers come in and actually purchase the product. And so you have to build off your strengths. And I think the other side is the cannabis industry has to recognize who they are and who they're not. We are a cannabis company. We understand.
Exactly. That is so important. So again, you have all these companies that want to be everything to all people. You can't do that. You have to focus in and hone in on what you do best. HEXO, like Tilray has said, is an ingredients company. They are an MJ product manufacturing company. They don't get into retail. They own some Sundial shares, SNDL shares as a long-term investment because that's a way for them to hedge, not having any exposure to the retail industry themselves. So they were able to invest in different companies like Fire and Flower and Sundial, and that allowed them to benefit from the retail growth in the space. But I love that he says that Tilray is a branding company and HEXO is an ingredients company, and they know exactly what they do, and what they do well is they make incredible, amazing MJ products, and they're innovative, and they're quite literally, the top of the class, right? Every time they come out with a new product, you have people scrambling. Look at Oxley coming out with their back 40s, straight edge pre-rolls, just trying to mimic that right after HEXO acquired Redecan, and they're just not going to be able to keep up. They have 3.35 grams in each one, and then HEXO came out with 0.4 grams, introduced a little bit more, but at the same price point. And then they now have the Readies Plus, which are infused pre-rolls. So they're so far ahead of the game. And I think that's part of the reason why they wanted to slow HEXO down, is because they were going too hard, too fast. The incumbents needed to catch up and needed to figure out how to get a piece of the pie. Now that Tilray, Aphria, Redecan, and HEXO are essentially all working together under one umbrella, they now figured out how to get their piece of the pie, right? Everybody wanted a piece of the king, and King HEXO, there's a reason why there's a little king symbol here right on the top. It's because they're king.
The structure function of cannabinoids and how those work in your body and how to basically deliver those into the areas. And so that's what HEXO brings to the table. That's what the Redecan brings to the table, Original Stash and our different brands. But so many of the cannabis companies tried to be everything. And so I think if someone is looking to make the investment into a cannabis company that's focused in on cannabis, that has a leading market share in Canada and is delivering those areas of what you need to have growth, I think that's why we would be an investment partner. I think it's a great question.
I hear you. You've talked about some of the things that have changed within the company. I'm wondering, as your deal with Tilray was confirmed recently, if you can tell me a little bit about coming out of that, sort of what are the immediate goals for the company before the wrap up of 2022?
The Tilray refinancing of the debt that went on, they are our largest debt holder. They purchased rounded up about 180.
And what do we know about Tilray? Irwin Simon, the CEO, told BNN Bloomberg that he was chasing HEXO for months. To my knowledge, it was Tilray that offered Redecan $1.4 billion competing offer. It was probably a majority in stock, and they decided to go with HEXO for $925 million. So turning down $1.4 billion. So that tells me that ever since HEXO, was in the front running for the acquisition of Redecan, that is what sparked Tilray's interest in HEXO. And they even tried to buy HEXO for $3 a share back in November, and HEXO turned them down. And they've literally been chasing HEXO for over a year. And now that this deal is done, just speaks volumes on, why would Tilray, one of the biggest MJ companies in the world, why would they be trying so hard to get a piece of HEXO and to even potentially buy them, right? Speaks volumes and reassures me in my investment.
$80 million of debt. What that allows them to do is to take, if they choose to, they can enact on that. It's 40 cents a share that they have the ability to do it, and then they could acquire those much shares. Right now, they're a debt holder into the organization. And what it allows us to do is there's certain synergies that the partnership, the alliance, can potentially bring to the market. There's some procurement. There's clearly some logistics that we've seen. Everybody has seen the price of gasoline and fuel surcharges. And so by being able to bundle.
Exactly. Being able to bundle, and this isn't just a regular debt deal, right? This isn't like the bank. They went to a bank or BMO or something like that, just gave them money. This is a partnership. It's going to create synergies, $40 million between the two companies over the next few years, and they're going to be able to do consulting services and things like that, right? And it's going to be, Tilray's going to bring the financial institutional money, the big money, the smart money they call it, and it's also going to bring the mass distribution and brand awareness and just overall public awareness, right? And it's just a match made in heaven, in my opinion.
Shipments in different parts of the country. It allows us to basically have a full truck at all times, and that's wasted money. So that's an excellent one. The other areas around how we can buy insurance and different areas that comes through. So we've identified $80 million, $40 million a piece of each company, which are true synergies by the two companies working in this alliance. We are independent companies. We have our own brands. We have our own commercial channels. We have our own financial teams, all those areas that comes through. But there is some areas around this alliance that can basically.
And words mean things. He just said that they're independent companies. And Irwin Simon, the CEO of Tilray, said himself, right from the horse's mouth, it's important that the companies remain two public independent companies, and it's important that we draw the line there. Doesn't mean that they may not merge, or they could merge, right? I'd say it's about a 50-50 chance. No one has a crystal ball, so the fact is we just don't know. But words mean things, and just like Apple getting saved for Microsoft from bankruptcy, Microsoft made a $150 million investment into Apple. I guarantee you, everybody and their dog probably thought that Microsoft was going to buy Apple, but guess what? They didn't, and now Apple's worth more than Microsoft. Again, that's just a comparison. It's not really apples to apples. It's apples to oranges. It's two different industries. But you have to remember that's when the tech industry and tech stocks were really starting to flourish and take off. The dot-com bubble right after that, and you got to think that they were shaping the new industry. It was a new emerging industry that we hadn't really seen any concrete winners yet. So there's going to be winners and losers, but just like in this industry, it's a new emerging, burgeoning industry. And number one and number two are working together. Does that remind you of anything?
Basically reset. And our goal has been from the onset is that we're going to continue to deliver this cannabis experience. We're focusing in on the cannabinoids. That's what we bring unique to the table. We focus in on the health and wellness and well-being of our customers. And we have a number of series of products that we can tailor, but we're not a brand company. We have some leading brands, which are great, but a brand company requires tremendous amount of money to have products across all different segments. Tilray will be is a major brand company and will be a super brand company in the future. You can see the way that they have some synergies areas there. We are a cannabis company, and we understand the structure function of not just the endocannabinoid system in the cannabis that we can deliver, but also how to put those cannabinoids, those flavonoids, those.
And Charlie, if you're listening, it's pronounced cannabinoid. But no, he brings up a good point. I did a video on the differences between different MJ companies, and specifically it was centered around Canadian LPs, so licensed producers, operators in Canada, producers in Canada. If you look at Tilray, they have a distribution business, they have an MJ business, they have an alcohol business, they have a wellness business. If you look at Sundial, they have now Alcana, they have like 150 different liquor stores. They actually made more money on their last quarter results from alcohol retail sales than they did through MJ, right? Guess what HEXO only does and only receives revenue on? 100% MJ.
Those terpenes in the right structure that medically help you, that physically help you reduce stress and the others. And it's funny, I had a couple of folks that work for us here. He goes, I didn't really believe you, so I tried what you said. This product should do this. This product will help you in this area. And this. He goes, you were right. I said, well, we've worked a long time in this space of understanding about the body and the different areas around antioxidants and other natural ingredients. The body's pretty straightforward. The trick is to get those cannabinoids in the form that the body wants. And then the body does what the body does. It's so fantastic. That's the beauty of the cannabis industry. It allows the body to do what it was designed to do by Mother Nature. Point blank.
I gotcha. Charlie, can I ask you, could you give us an update on the NASDAQ listing requirements for HEXO and how things are standing at the moment? Maybe a little bit also about how a company deals with that process when it goes on.
Well, that was the curveball as soon as I had taken on that we were below the level that they wanted us to be on the NASDAQ. And so the initial stages for us was, align the cost structure so that we can get for success. We had too much spending going on, not just in SG&A, but just overall external consultants. Something that we've done now, we make the decisions as the management team. And if we make a mistake, we own the mistake. There is no this person did it or this person did it. It's we did it. If we get it right, we also did it. And by taking that ownership in and then resetting those goals, as I said down, every sale now is profitable. That wasn't the case a couple quarters ago.
Every sale is now profitable. That is extremely, extremely important.
We've realigned that we've taken out cost of goods, not just in cost of goods of sales, not just in cost of goods to serve, as we talked about some of the things with the Tilray with cost of service, but we've also done it on cost of goods of manufacturing. And so what we have to do is drive that profitability, which will translate to the consumers that there's more profit here, as well as this top line growth that's being maintained. And then to your point, stock will rise and we have the opportunity to be able to deliver. We've seen it in the last bit. We're starting to have conversations like yourselves and others, which we're starting to see some positive momentum. Status quo was not sustainable for HEXO. It had to be fixed. The good news is we've taken those measures. We've talked to the NASDAQ. We've talked to different investors of what they're looking for. And the first element of us is to drive that stock price up to the same level around 40, 50 cents and get it to that level first. And then.
So drive the stock price up to 40 or 50 cents, right? Now that Tilray is positioned, now that Chaos Capital is positioned, right? It's now essentially team HEXO, Redecan, Zenabis, 48 North, Tilray, Afria, Chaos, Molson Coors, right? You could even throw them in there, and potentially MedMen if if Tilray actually converts the convertible note, just like they have in HEXO. They have the convertible notes in MedMen, which would allow them to buy their debt and convert their debt into equity. So upon federal legalization, are you starting to see this global juggernaut, right? And that's going to be MedMen is big into retail, and they have a ton of key areas geographically speaking, right? One of which is California. There's more people in California than there is in like there's basically the same amount of people in California as there is in Canada, right? That's a huge important market and very, very important point.
There's some new brands that we have that are very unique that I think are going to be extremely exciting for the market to see.
Okay, let's just listen to his voice when he says that. I'm going to put up the volume up a little bit. Just listen to his voice.
Up to the same level, around 40, 50 cents. Get to that level first. And then there's some new brands that we have that are very unique that I think are going to be extremely exciting for the market to see.
Extremely exciting for the market to see. So could he be talking about potential of new CPG partner? We know that the partner is Molson Coors Caliber. It's more than cookies, granola bars. It's other food products as well. SQDC is finally in Quebec, is finally allowing edibles. And there's some people in the chat here saying there's like cauliflower and figs. Yeah, I wasn't too sold on those beets. Yeah, ugh. But anyways, shouldn't be too hard for HEXO to jump into number one, just like they did with Truss and Molson Coors. They had I think a 4 to 5 months. There was other people like Canopy who had a 4 or 5 month head start, and HEXO easily jumped to number one in that category. I envision the exact same thing to happen with the edibles, and they said, Vincent Chiara said, that management hopes to have its first edible to the SQDC by the end of summer, and that said hopes. So everybody just needs to realize that that was tentative. There was no concrete date. He did say it would be revealed in the coming weeks on April 28th. But as we know, the Tilray deal got delayed. Things happen, right? It's not even just, it could be the CPG partner doesn't want to release it, right? They're under NDA, non-disclosure agreement. Or what a lot of people aren't factoring in as well is that the SQDC in Quebec has very, very strict laws, right? So it could be that they want to get into grocery or something like that, and they need to figure that out. Or there's something with regards to the SQDC and the products that need to go through these rigorous, testing and different quality assurances and safety things and all that, labels, all that stuff, because they don't want it to be appealing to children. If it's going to be cookies and granola bars and other food products, what does that tell you? That's very appealing to, say, a minor, right? So that's something you have to factor in as well. People just look, there's more to things that are under the hood than just what meets the eye and what's on the surface, right? So there's more than just HEXO at play here. There's a CPG partner. There's actual Quebec government and regulations to adhere to as well.
We have some new strains that we've developed over the last 2 years that were kind of on the shelf that we've now can tailor those into women's needs, can tailor those into anxiety relief, can tailor those into pain management. We're going to be launching those over the next step. What was exciting to me, every board across Canada
new strains
said, whatever you're doing is working. Your service levels have never been higher. The quality of your product has never been better.
Whatever you're doing is working. The quality of your product has never been better. The service level has never been higher, right? You're starting to get the picture here.
And we see it, our customers are seeing it, and that positive momentum will translate into higher stock prices.
I hear you. Maybe as the last thing, as you mentioned, the readjustments and focusing on specific sections of the market, how do you see HEXO and the larger pool of Canadian producers, how do you see them playing a role in the U.S.? A lot has been made about the potential for federal legalization in the U.S. and what that could mean. I'm wondering how you see that road, and sort of what you tell investors when they ask you, when are you going to the U.S.? How can we get to the U.S.? What does that look like in your mind?
So
one thing you have to keep in mind is that HEXO is partnered with Molson Coors through a private JV called Trust CBD USA. If you're in the US, you can go to just Google Trust CBD USA, and you can actually buy Trust beverages. It's the Verivel. It's derived from hemp CBD, and you can buy them in 26 different states, free shipping to 26 different states at the moment. So a ton of growth there, still, half the country to expand to. And then they also have, I think, 3 states that they have retail available, so you can buy it in liquor stores and grocery stores, that type of thing. So that's very important to remember. They're already selling products in the US.
I have probably a skewed sense of the viewpoint. I am an American. We started HEXO USA.
So he just said, I am an American, and they're talking about HEXO USA.
In Fort Collins, Colorado, with the intention of it to being into the minor cannabinoids, so to understand all the aspects that we could do with cannabis beyond THC, what we could do for extraction, what we can do with cultivations, different strains that work, whether we're working with hemp, whether we're doing with marijuana, it was irrelevant. Basically, how to take a look at that structure function of those minor cannabinoids, and then how they would be able how to position those into the marketplace. Now with me coming up north and helping to run the company and working forward to, uniting those two fronts, the latest bill that was proposed addressed a lot of the issues that were dragging around. The first element that came in is you actually had the FDA, the Alcohol and Firearms Tobacco, and the Tax Bureau working as a single unit as opposed to each individual coming up with a solution, because the three of them have to be aligned to make this work because they got the infrastructure. The second layer, they tiered it. They didn't just, the Canadian market has put in basically a peanut butter and spread it, said whatever this is, doesn't matter what your scale is, here's your spread and here's your tax. Good or bad. What we've learned is that punishes and it encourages people to overspend. It punishes a small producer and encourages the larger producer to overspend to basically get to that low cost of production. And what you find with those low cost production, you have poor quality, but you also end up having stranded assets, which you've seen now everybody, ourselves included, ripping out assets because we basically overproduced. Now, I can't validate the number, but I was told that there was over 800 tons of capacity in the Canadian market. Again, I can't validate that, but I can get pretty close to that number just by talking to a couple senior executives and others. And you take a look, that number is way out of line of what the actual market demand is or will ever be. So it showed you that there was a bad behavior of overproducing. So in the U.S. market, by basically tiering that tax base, they've placed in an opportunity for us that the medium craft can grow, the boutique grower can grow, the industrial grower can grow, and the leading companies can grow, but you pay your fair share. And nobody minds paying taxes as long as it's fair and you move forward and you go on. And so I think that was an area that comes out. There was also several elements in that to take care of some of the social injustice that has gone on, and that's being addressed. I'm an optimist. I see this as an excellent opportunity to generate tax revenue in an area that some call it a sin tax, some call it a marginal. I see it first in the medical area coming in. And if you've ever been where you can see the benefit that cannabis has supplied or helped a cancer patient, if you've ever seen the ability cannabis has been able to help, whether it's CBD or THC based, irrelevant, just cannabis in the plant as a whole, you can see the benefits of pain management, the ability of what they can do for inflammation. That needs to be in the U.S. market. And then we can take the recreation and the others, you'll allow the states to take care of it, which is exactly the way the bill was kind of designed and placed in. So I think it's a good bill. I hope it passes. I think from a standpoint of looking at the need of tax revenue, this is a perfect place because you pay as you go. So that's where I'm at. And as far as we've done, we set up HEXO USA. That particular site has the ability to do both THC and CBD in its jurisdiction. We have permits other areas, which, like I said, it gives us the flexibility to grow. We will wait until.
So basically what he just said is that we have the foundation built and ready to scale and ready to deploy and execute in the US as of right now, today. How many other companies do you know that are selling products in 26 different states currently through hemp CBD and Molson Coors partner with a Fortune, what are they, 200, we'll say Fortune 500 company, Molson Coors, that are selling legal products in 26 different states currently while maintaining number one market share in Canada. And they have everything, he said, from everything from extraction, everything to oils, to beverages. They have the foundation built for CBD and THC. And that is easily going to be able to scale because they have the foundation already built. Why do you think they've been incurring so much losses? Why do you think they've been spending so much money? It's because they got to number one in Canada, they acquired a bunch of companies, and they're also building the foundation for the United States, the $100 billion market that Tilray CEO Irwin Simon said himself he believes is going to be in the not too distant future. And then what you have to remember is Tilray has a manufacturing facility in Portugal, two in Europe, and then they have the nationwide distribution in Canada. They'll both team up and it'll be world domination, right? So again, show me another company other than HEXO, Tilray, maybe Canopy that have the global foundation built. Like I challenge you to find one American operator that even has nationwide distribution in their own backyard in the United States, let alone all of Canada and abroad, right? I would say Curaleaf's probably the only one close to any of these companies, and we're not even in the same ballpark.
The flexibility to grow. We will wait until the legislation catches up with us, but it's super exciting in the U.S. And I wouldn't stop there. You've got great things going on right now in Mexico. You got outstanding opportunities in Brazil, again, in that area around the medical. And again, it's about getting that benefits that cannabis can do, those minor cannabinoids combined with THC to help people. And that's what we should do, is from a standpoint of being able to help people help themselves, let the body do as the body was designed with the endocannabinoid system is what we focus in on.
Well, Charlie, I think we'll have to wrap it up there, but I'll ask you to come back to give us another update on the progress of those international.
All right, going to end that video there. Basically, they just wrap it up, and he said that he'd like to be back on in the future. Charlie, if you're listening, I'd love to have you on my channel as well. Like I said, and something I want to just point out here for everybody as well listening in, how many other companies do you know that never do interviews, right? HEXO hasn't done a single interview. What has it been, like a year now? They used to do them all the time when Sebastian St. Louis was around. But very odd that he's gone and MIA, nowhere to be found, and he's missing in action, and there's just been no interest or no interviews, but tons of interest, right? How many other, I did a poll, the majority of people on my channel said their biggest investment is in HEXO. I think 60%, the closest was Tilray being like 20 some percent. And then I did another poll. How many of you or HEXO investors are from the US versus Canada? 60% were from the US, right? And haven't even tried their products yet. So, and they're just foaming at the mouth. They can't wait to try their products, right? How many other companies do you know under those circumstances would that happen? There's not even a close second. I never hear anybody else from the US telling me that they want to try any other LPs, any other Canadian operators' products. I never hear anybody from Canada saying, oh, I can't wait to try like Trulieve or an American operator's products, right? It's really the only company that I know. And to me, it's quite astonishing that they've been able to develop this much of retail intention with 0 interviews. Like I'm trying to interview them like crazy and they won't even interview me, but yet the interest in retail is the highest it's ever been, right? That speaks volumes to how amazing the products are and the company is and the opportunity, right? It's the most exciting opportunity in all of MJ. I truly believe that. And I think a lot of you do as well. But again, I have 14 different MJ positions. I have a mix of Canadian and American operators. I have some retailers. I have ETFs. And, you know, I want all MJ to flourish and do well on a level playing field. I want all companies to do well. There's enough market share for everybody to thrive and survive, right? And like you said, Tilray, CEO Irwin Simon said it's going to be a $100 billion market just in the US alone. There's enough market share. We need to end the tribalism and all boats rise together, right? We want all MJ companies to do well. Just before I jump into the chat, we'll do a quick technical analysis update. So we are pulling back across the sector today, and that is just because we had so much percentage gain over the last couple of weeks. SPY is breaking to a daily higher high. I've been calling for 427 on the S&P 500 since we broke out of this equilibrium and confirmed the daily bull flag. The daily bull flag target was 427, and we've met that target. I am going to anticipate a pullback on the broader market on the S&P 500 soon for a weekly higher low, meaning we could pull back about 5 to 10%. So don't be surprised if that creates some headwinds and we see a little bit more downside on MJ's front. But again, we could see a little bit more upside in the broader market before that comes. But I would anticipate that over the next week or two. And the most important factor for me was breaking monthly resistance from last month at 25 cents. We broke that, so we're starting the monthly bounce. We haven't bounced on the monthly time frame really since $7.55 USD on HEXO. That means that we essentially just went 15 months in a row with a lower high. We had a little bit of a bounce here, but it was only by 3 pennies, so I'm not going to consider that. I'll just ignore that one. Not enough of a bounce for me to consider that a monthly bounce. I would just consider that basically a double top. And then here we are starting the bounce. We're only breaking it by a couple pennies again. We need to see follow through. But I mean, a couple pennies now is a big difference than when we were at 75 cents, right? But HEXO off the low there at 17 cents, we're now up about 50% off the low. So I think that, and most of their names are starting their monthly bounces, right? CGC, Tilray, all the leaders in the space. And what I think we're going to see is we're going to see a few back-to-back consecutive monthly candles in the green here, in my opinion. We could be due for an explosive move, and if we see the CPG Partner announcement, he said they're working on some really exciting and great brands and new strains and products and things like that. So couple that with all of that information with any kind of safe banking progress. Again, safe banking has the highest chance of passing, meaning that companies in the US are going to be able to uplist to NASDAQ. They're going to be able to do traditional banking. They'll be able to accept credit cards and things like that. It's essentially a cash business in the US, and that's what's sparking a lot of this reform as well with regards to banking legislation, is because of the fact that it's very dangerous, right? It's a cash business, so it's increasing. We're starting to see increasing amounts of robberies and criminal activity as a result. So that alone is going to, but you have to think about it, right? The market's manipulated, right? The market's rigged. We can't have an unmanipulated market. So what would somebody do, like a market maker like Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, and all these companies that lobby the government? Well, what would they do? Oh, well, they would create safe banking first so that they could get positioned. And you know what they're saying now? They're saying that we need to do something for the American people. And they're trying to put it back like it's on us, like they're doing it for us. But guess what they want to do? They want to get safe banking passed. Do not be fooled by these crooks on Wall Street. And this was 110% planned, 100% manipulated. We live in a simulation. They are not thinking about the people. They do not want us to succeed. Case in point, they just created the biggest bear market I've ever seen in MJ, and we dropped 95% on a lot of our names, right, including Tilray. And what they're doing is ignore what they're talking about. It's for the people. No, it's not. It's for the big financial institutions that run the world, like the JP Morgans, the Morgan Stanleys, the Goldman Sachs. It's so they can get positioned and invest in USMJ before the masses. And then once they're invested, then they'll open the floodgates, and then they'll make it easy for their clients and their retail investors to invest, right? So don't be fooled by their smoke and mirrors that they always... it's frustrating. Just it's so easy to get manipulated if you don't really know how financial markets work. But after over a decade and studying crypto and MJ, JP Morgan was fined almost $1 billion for manipulating precious metals, so gold and silver. If you don't think they're manipulating an illegal substance like MJ, I've got news for you. It 110% is. They're manipulating it like you wouldn't believe. So like I said, monthly bounce starting. This is looking really good. We have a weekly uptrend confirmed. Now we just need to zoom out to the monthly, get the monthly bounce follow through, form a higher low and a higher high. Once we confirm monthly uptrends, then I'll be confident that the bear market is over and we're entering a potential new multi-year bull market. We are set to close over the 10-week moving average again this week. I want to see a weekly candle close over 21 cents. Look at the stochastic starting to get parabolic here, blasting off into space. And the MACD has never crossed bearish. It's crossed bullish back here in November of 2021. And it's been bullish ever since, and look at it rising. It's looking really, really good at the moment. In terms of the weekly moving averages, we have nothing nearby until the 50 weekly at 76 cents. And we're now over the 50-day moving average. You can see here, ever since we lost it as support, resistance, 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 got above it here, ended up being a brutal bull trap into a new lower low. And here we are getting above it. Watch that 100-day moving average there at 32 cents. We have next resistance to be watching on the price action at 28.5 cents. After that, watch 32. And then the 200-day moving average there at 58 cents. Wouldn't be surprised, like Charlie mentioned in the interview, they're working on getting this back to 40 and 50 cents. Just funny how the 200-day moving average is right there lining up with that. But great interview. Let me know in the comments below everybody's thoughts. I see we have a few dozen people with us, and it's closing in on almost an hour. So we'll allow 10 to 20 minutes here of questions and answers, and we'll get everybody's questions answered that you might have. And if anybody does have anything, just let me know. We'll get to that. But gonna go through this now. Why is it so fast? Yeah, it's because I wanted, yeah, exactly, Jelly Bean, thanks. I wanted to speed it up because I know everybody probably already watched it first and foremost, and I wanted to speed it up so that I could stop it and not make the video too long. And again, if anybody's ever wondering, you can just go here, click on the settings wheel, click on playback speed, and you can go up to 2x speed, right? So if you think some of my videos are too long, well, it's unfortunate, but there's no shortcut to life. And if you want to, do well, you have to put in the work, right? I have over 10,000 hours worth of research and education in MJ and in other financial markets as well, right? It takes 10,000 hours to become an expert at anything. So if you don't want to put in the work, you might not get the results, right? But if you don't have 2 hours or an hour to watch a live stream all the time, you can go on here, change it to 1.75x speed like I just had it on. And then if there's a specific point that you want to drill down on, and you can slow it down, right? So little tip of the day. Hey, Rod. In Montreal for now, back to Ontario in September. Nice. Average in short term on HEXO, 8K at 42 cents. That's a good average. Canadian as well. Very nice. FYI, new edibles at the SQDC. We saw those. Even Tilray's edibles looked pretty lackluster. Somebody tried them and they said they weren't very good. They kind of taste healthy or whatever. That was kind of the idea, but I haven't heard a single good thing about them. So yeah, once HEXO gets into the edible space, I assume them to skyrocket to number one. Well, we know that they just released new edibles through like Mexican lime, cocktail type edibles through Redecan, but I don't believe those are in Quebec yet. Those are in Ontario. But yeah, they're gonna skyrocket. It won't even be a question. They're just going to skyrocket to number one in that category, just like they did with Truss and Molson Coors. But yeah, cauliflower, beets, and figs. Sorry, not going to taste those ones. Yuck. Yeah. You never know. It's a small niche market, right? Like you get some people who are, vegan or vegetarian. I've been to India and figs are a big thing there. I love cauliflower. Things like that. They're a good substitute for like a wing or something like that, right? But yeah, I'm not going to be rushing to try those out, that's for sure. Have a feeling they will merge eventually, Jelly Bean says. Yeah, so I did a video. You can check it out. Will Tilray and HEXO eventually merge? Personally, I don't think they will, but I would say it's a 50-50 chance. If they do merge, it probably won't be for a few years, in my opinion. But personally, I think they've said already, he's even said it in here, they're two independent companies, and Tilray CEO Irwin Simon said it himself. It's important that they remain two independent public companies, and it's important they draw the line there. Why would he say that? Obviously, you can't take everything with, you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt, because these people aren't always 100% honest, and things change, right? That's one thing in the MJ space and in the financial markets is never say never, because things change all the time. The only guarantee is there's no guarantees. But personally, it's my personal belief that they're going to remain independent companies, and they'll work together, number one and number two, and they'll move on to shape the industry together, and they'll both become top 5 global MJ companies worldwide. Big yuck on those flavors, but aligns with many MJ users' health-forward priorities. Yeah, exactly, right? So it'll be a small niche market, but yeah, hopefully HEXO's going after the mass market like they are with their current strategies, right? Molson Coors, Budweiser don't make the best beer, but they make the most money, right? And now go to Molson Coors' website and click on their brands. They made so much money that they just went and they bought all these iconic, small brands that really resonate with consumers. That's exactly what HEXO's doing, right? So they're the Molson Coors of the MJ industry. I get they don't want to appeal to kids. I imagine they add flavoring, but I have no interest in trying. I'll wait a couple weeks and get some real edible in Ontario. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, that's a big thing in Quebec, is they don't want it to appeal to children. And like I said, if HEXO's working on a CPG partner with cookies, granola bars, and other food products, that screams children appeal, right? So there's probably a reason why it's taking so long, and it's probably not because of HEXO. If anything, it's either the CPG partner or the Quebec government, right? So we need to cut them some slack. My feeling is they will have HEXO stay separate and corner the budget market, and Tilray brands focus on the more premium market. I go to HEXO for my daily smoke and a free riff for premium. Personally, I really like Canara Biotech for premium. They have great prices. It's way cheaper than Broken Coast and Riff, and way better product as well. So it's better quality at better pricing. And I'm actually going to be interviewing their CFO here half hour after market close at 4:30 Eastern time. But yeah, I really like Canara Biotech. They don't have nationwide distribution yet in Canada, right? They're still they only got 6 out of their 24 grow zones operational. So they're behind in the times, right? That's why they're completely different than HEXO, right? It's a different beast, right? And like he said in this video, the craft growers can do well, the industrial growers can do well, and the top leading companies can do well. And it's because there's enough market share for everybody, and it's because it's just different niche markets, right? So HEXO has number 1 nationwide distribution in Canada. They're number 1 in rec sales, and they have the foundation built for the US, like he mentioned in this video, Charlie, and they have international figured out as well now with the Tilray deal, right? So show me anybody else in the MJ space that has the foundation built for at a global scale like Tilray and HEXO do. Oh, and they're also working together. So good luck, everybody else. The edibles seem to be infused dried fruit veg. Looks like they have other flavors like mango and banana on the way. Yeah, the SQDC did say that there's going to be a ton of different edibles on the way. So again, they don't even have vapes yet, right? So there's so much growth just in Canada yet, right? And we still don't have it, beverages, the limit on beverages of 5 drinks or whatever it is. And then we don't even have it in restaurants and bars and events and venues yet, right? Imagine going to a hockey game, like going to see the Edmonton Oilers here at Rogers Place and being able to buy an MJ infused beverage, right? So there's so much growth. Concerts, things like that. Quebec, strict? Yeah. Yeah, just a tad, right? Does Quebec not like tax revenue? Oh, they do. But yeah, they got a law for sneezing the wrong way down there. Love Quebec, though. Can't wait to go back. Mandela's, Nabisco, Oreo, Cadbury, Bella Vita, which I'm pretty sure is granola, and one more. That seems interesting to me. Trident Gum also has products in over 150 countries. This is my CPG guess. Yeah, good guess. Yeah, there's been lots of speculation that it could be Mandela's. I think it's Kellogg's personally, but we'll see. Something to keep in mind too is once one gets in, once one or two big companies get in, it's going to be a domino effect, right? We know Pepsi trialed hemp Rockstar in Germany about 1.5 years ago. Again, we live in a simulation. Why are they testing it in Germany? Might they have known that Germany was going to legalize, which they are set to legalize here potentially soon into the fall? New York as well, right? The whole world's a stage, right? And those are two huge catalysts alone. And then if Pepsi gets involved, well, who else do we know that makes soft drinks that's super popular? Coca-Cola. Jones Soda just got into Mary Jones Soda, right? So if Jones Soda's getting in, Pepsi trialed Rockstar Hemp in Germany 1.5 years ago. Might you think that Pepsi might get in? And if Pepsi and Jones Soda are in, doesn't that mean that HEXO has to capitulate as well? And guess what? Molson Coors is developing 2 drinks for Coca-Cola right now. They're partners. Coca-Cola gets Molson Coors to make the Topo Chico hard seltzers, which is an alcoholic beverage, and the Spiked Hard Lemonade, which is also an alcoholic beverage. So if they're already partnered with Coke on 2 alcoholic beverages, and now Tilray and HEXO are partnered, might HEXO and Tilray not have the best chance at landing a potential deal with Molson Coors and Coke through Truss? Truss also has its own license now set to operationalize in 2023. Could we see it in 2023? Very possible. Again, anything's possible. Not saying they will or they won't, but they have the best opportunity for that partnership, in my opinion. And it's not unfounded, right? Is Chiara still in HEXO? Yes, he is. 40, 50 cents. How about $1? How about dollars? Yeah, well, crawl before you walk and walk before you run, so to speak, right? I'm happy with 40, 50 cents. We'll get there. And then that'll probably start to trigger some FOMO, right? But yeah, once we get to 75 cents to $1, I think we're going to start to see a huge spike in the stock price and FOMO like you wouldn't believe. Rod, question for the macro. Why are Indicted still near all-time high, but many stocks are at 52-week all-time lows? Thanks. I'm not sure what you mean. I was thinking maybe the SPAC craze let a lot more money into the market, but I don't know. I'm not too sure, to be honest with you, and I want to try to keep this centered around HEXO and the MJ space, so maybe we'll save that question. I can look in. I'm not even really 100% sure what you're asking here, so but yeah, I'll be doing another live stream soon, and we can maybe on a more broader topic we can cover that. On the indices, okay. Yeah, so the indices. Yeah, so like Netflix was down 80%, and it's just the indices haven't run as much, right? So the names that run more end up crashing more, right? But yeah, that's the SPAC craze could be it, but there's multiple sectors in those indices, right? So. Don't think I've tried any Canara. Oh, they're amazing. They're number 1 in pre-rolls in Quebec. Data just came out from Weed Crawler. You can check out weedcrawler.ca. It's Alex Boyer. I'm actually going to be interviewing him as well. But essentially, they're number 1 in pre-rolls. Gelato Mint, it's called. Tribal. Really, really good. I respect this is an MJ talk, though. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the reason why is because MJ's in a bear market, and generally when we see crypto and tech stocks go, usually MJ's inverse, right? And it's just the way the market conditions are right now. But with that being said, MJ does have a lot of room to ground to make up, right? So could easily see some massive moves. And if there's any kind of safe banking or legalization progress with regards to descheduling, I think we're going to get safe first, then descheduling, then full-blown legalization. Also going to be interviewing Morgan Fox, like I said, from Normal, who's they're a lobbying organization for the federal government and a voice for responsible MJ consumers in the U.S. And going to be getting his take on what his opinion is on the bills passing through Congress and whether or not they have any chance, and what he thinks is the most likelihood of a type of rollout for all of those events to occur. So, like I said, I think safe banking, then descheduling, then full-blown legal. So we'll see if he concurs on that. But yeah, MJ's just in a bear market. That's the simplest term, right? Indices are in a bull market, weekly and monthly uptrends. MJ's in a monthly and weekly downtrends. So bull market, bear market. That's why. Any chance we see MSO M&A with LPs wants safe banking. Well, you got to think, Canopy has, they're going to be taking over acreage once federally permissible in the US, and Tilray is going to be taking a controlling interest potentially in MedMen. So essentially they're going to morph into hybrids. So there'll be licensed producers and multi-state operators. And yeah, that mega merger, that blue chip phase, which is the fourth final phase. Right now it's the focus phase, in my opinion, phase 3. And the next phase is going to be the blue chip phase, where we see mega mergers. And yes, I think we could see some MSOs merge with some LPs. Keep in mind that Constellation Brands, the Corona beer maker, now has a majority ownership in Canopy. We have Molson Coors partnered with HEXO, Altria with Cron, British American Tobacco with Organogram. All of these companies are big American companies. And yeah, they're probably gonna merge with MSOs, I would think, at some point in the blue chip mega merger phase. But I think that's a couple years out. I'll see if I can get some before I leave Quebec. Nice. Yeah, keep us posted. American CEO, I am sure that's a coincidence and not a sign of something in the works. Yeah, everything is a coincidence, right? I learned long ago there are no coincidences. Not in the financial markets. It's all orchestrated. It's all manipulated. I'm 110% confident of that. Normal, Massachusetts put on the Freedom Rally every year in Boston in September. Great event. Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait to make sure you have the notification bell turned on as well. You'll be notified whenever I go live on that one. But that's Tuesday, 4:30 Eastern time, just after market close. But yeah, really looking forward to it. They even got Willie Nelson and Woody Harrelson on their advisory board. So we're talking about some big names there, big company. So... and hopefully I'll get a response back from HEXO and get an interview scheduled with them. And don't worry, I got your back. We'll get all of your questions that you have. I know everybody has a ton of questions still unanswered, just like myself. And don't worry, I got your back. You can count on me. I will ask them all of the hard questions that everybody else seems to just dodge, right? Just playing T-ball, sets them up, throws them the ball up, and then... you know, never asked them any hard questions like what happened to SSL, but you know, what's going on with the CPG partner. We were told, you know, like all these hard questions that need to be asked, right? So again, I tell people what they need to hear, and I find out what we need to hear, not what people want to hear. And I don't tell people what they want to hear. Going to end it there. Thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth. It's Rod with Power Group. If you could smash the like on your way out, help support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. Tick the bell. You'll be notified on any future videos. Subscribe. Share the video with anybody that might find value. I would appreciate it. Hope you have a great day, and we'll see you after market close for an interview with Nicholas Sosiak, CFO of Canara Biotech.